Before I give you the grand tour of the brand new McLaren 720, yes, it's worth mentioning that McLaren's road car division has only been producing road cars for 5 years now. The rate of progress with this company is just astonishing, as is how this thing looks. You'll probably remember the 12C was a bit generic, a bit boring. Well, no longer, because this thing, for me, blows the equivalent Ferrari and Lamborghini out the water. It's just an astonishing piece of sculpture to look at. And what McLaren have done that's so clever is they've kept this smooth, organic shape going on in the car, but met all the cooling requirements that it needs and 50% more downforce than the 650S. And to do that, well, you have to make design elements work quite hard. So you look down here, these aren't just headlights. You've got your DRLs, you've got your lamps, but it's also an air intake which is feeding air back here to cool the brakes. This probably looks like a flat surface to you from there, but actually it's a blade that's channeling air off the back of the wheels and smoothing it down the side of the car. Just the top of a door from where you're standing, but have a closer look and there's a gulping air intake in there which is feeding all the fresh air back here into the V8 engine. And round the back we've got various channels and vents leading to the active rear wing, which is in its upper position now, but when it's laid flat, it's flush with the bodywork, keeping this beautiful tapered rear end. Honestly, it's an astonishing thing to look at up close, this. Really, really special. And what McLaren has also realised is if you're going to titillate buyers, if you're going to get £250,000 out of their pockets, well, you need to add some theatre, some drama, something to talk about with your mates down the pub. Around here, you've got a sort of mesh grille that you can just see the engine through. Well, that engine bay is now illuminated in soft red glow. Doesn't really serve any purpose, but it's really cool. If it's going to be a proper supercar, you need proper supercar doors, so how's that? These open to 80 degrees and, as you can see, cut into the roof. So it makes getting in and out easier, but really, it just looks fantastic. Right, we need to talk about numbers because the numbers on this car are, quite frankly, massive. Back here is a 4-litre twin-turbo V8, so that's enlarged from the one you get in the 650S. It's now got 710 horsepower. I'll let that one just simmer for a minute and I'll give you some more numbers. 0 to 62, 2.8 seconds. 0 to 124, 7.8 seconds. That's about a second quicker than the Ferrari 488 for a bit of comparison. And here's the big one that just blows my mind. 0 to 186 miles an hour in 21.8 seconds. That's P1 fast. This is supposed to be the cooking run-of-the-mill supercar, but it's hypercar fast. And then we get to the techie bits, the really techie bits. The same mono-cage carbon fibre tub as you got on the 650S, but now it's even stiffer. That engine is actually mounted 150mm lower for centre of gravity. You've got the same trick interconnected dampers that you got on the 12C and the 650S. Developed, of course, but it means no anti-roll bars, and it means this thing rides beautifully, better than, as I said, the equivalent Ferrari and Lamborghini. Oh, and the steering. They haven't gone down the electronic power steering route like all its rivals. This system is hydraulic, and what that means is it's full of feel, and this thing basically drives like a big Lotus Elise. Now, you may have noticed that I didn't have to do a commando roll to get in this car. That's because it's that bit easier to get in and out of. The doors open wider, yes, but it's also got a much lower sill, so you don't need to be a Russian gymnast to get in and out of this thing. The other thing is visibility. It's absolutely superb in this car. You're sitting really, really low, as you should, but you're surrounded by this glass canopy, so the visibility really is as good as a VW Golf. And then there's the steering wheel, which, strangely, is just for steering. Normally you have loads of buttons everywhere. It's like a command center in front of you, but this is just beautiful carbon fiber spokes, 2 paddles, and that's that. It shows what a focused driving machine this thing is. And we were talking about theatre earlier. Well, there's yet more in here because we've got our instrument panel in front of us. That gives you all the usual information, but when you get into the upper echelons of the handling and powertrain modes, well, it folds down, revealing a much thinner display that's less distracting and lets you focus on the job in hand, which is driving outrageously fast. Very, very cool stuff. And seeing as we're here and we got the keys, well, we might as well fire it up. And for those that say turbocharged engines don't sound great, well, you don't know what you're talking about, because this thing sounds absolutely fantastic. We should talk about money. List price for this car is 218 grand. This one, with its special paint and some exposed carbon fibre around the A-pillars and a few other trinkets, is £250,000, £250,000. So let's be honest, for that you could buy a 570 GT and a Porsche 911 GT3. But right now, I'm not really thinking about money. I'm just enjoying the experience. I'm sitting here and thinking, what an incredibly special car the 720S is.